Every once in a while, you'll come across a video game sequel that looks really good. Only thing is, you never heard of the original, or maybe didn't have time to get around it. Some of my most fondest memories growing up was getting excited from watching new video game announcements like during E3, at least back when that existed, and most recently with the Video Game Awards. In 2022, they announced Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, and I didn't know much about it, but it looked badass. And suddenly, Space Marine was added to my backlog of games, and I never really came around to it. That was until recently when Space Marine 2 was delayed, originally slated to release sometime in December 2023, although it never got an official release date in December. I thought, here's my chance. Now, here's everything you need to know about Warhammer 40k Space Marine for its anticipated sequel releases. Vamonos. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Space Marine is a third-person shooter that follows Captain Titus and his squad of Ultramarine veterans as they battle an army of orcs that had invaded the Imperial Forge world called Planet Agria. This planet pretty much serves as a giant weapon factory where they build weapons for the ongoing war. In the opening scenes, the Space Marines are deployed after the Forge world was deemed too valuable to lose to enemy hands. The primary objective is to safeguard these giant war machines called Titans, which are humongous and look like something straight out of Star Wars or Titanfall. Now let's talk gameplay, and frankly it's one of the best parts of the game. What I really love about this game is just how well executed the balance between range and melee weapons were. Like, you knew when it was hammer time and when it was time to pull out the arsenal. This game also doesn't have a cover system like games like Gears of War or Division, so you do need to use your environment to your advantage. I did play the game on hardcore, which is the hardest difficulty, and even then it was quite forgiving. But I couldn't exactly just run across the battlefield to melee attack someone without dying. How do I know? Because I tried. And then following it up with a stun attack that opened up the enemies for some gruesome executions, and it never got old. It wasn't the same executions on repeat either. Each melee weapon came with its own unique executions, and it always felt fresh. The upside of the execution was that you would regain some health back, the downside being that it leaves you vulnerable to damage. You also get a variety of melee weapons like Chainsword, Power Axe, and the Thunderhammer. All had their own drawbacks, some being faster than others, while others making you sacrifice items on your arsenal to wield them. Another thing I liked about Space Marine is, when you come across a weapon cache in a game, you'll usually look at it and think, oh, they're giving me these weapons because I need these for the next encounter, like a sniper or a close range weapon. So Space Marine doesn't exactly do that. They give you a variety of weapons and you can play the next encounter any way you want. And sometimes these choices come back to hurt you. You can carry up to 4 weapons at once. You have your light weapons like the bolt pistol or the plasma pistol. For heavy weapons, you have a stalker bolt and Last Canyon, which are your sniper-like weapons. And then you have more volatile weapons like the Vengeance Launcher, which shoots sticky grenades which you choose when to detonate, or the Melt-A-Gun, which is your shotgun-type weapon that is very effective but has a wide spread. Additionally, you can pick up grenades and upgrades for your existing range weapons. They are hard to miss and can be found in these blue pods, usually literally in the middle of the room. The gold pods, on the other hand, give upgrades towards your special ability called Fury. In this state, you heal while this is active, and all your close combat attacks are enhanced. This gets upgraded as you progress that adds benefits for your range weapons too. One of the best moments you'll have in this game is when you get the jump pack, which is a jetpack that will be active until you clear the encounter. You'll soar through the sky like a titan and come crashing down on your enemies like an unstoppable war machine. It's pretty epic. Obviously, we will see the return of this in Space Marine 2, and I can't wait to see what improvements they've made to this. Alright, I want to take a moment to talk about the level design. While it was not amazing, I do have to remind myself that I am looking at this almost 12-year-old game through the lenses of 2023. Space Marine took me roughly 7 hours to complete and had a total of 17 chapters. And if you ask me which level was my favorite, the selection would be few. There were a lot of levels actually where you were indoors and it felt like all you were really doing is taking one elevator to the next floor and so on until you completed the level. There are moments I can recall, but they are more or less grounded in the memory because they were accompanied by key moments in the story. One of my favorite levels was when we were aboard a moving train and you had to fend off the aerial attacks and the orcs on board. There are also another cool scene where you had to take control of a bridge as we pushed back the orcs. Landing pods were landing from the sky and space marines began emerging from these pods. Another thing the game really lacked was boss battles, way too few. But I will say the villains in the game were actually pretty memorable, but perhaps the absence of bosses was what made them so memorable in the first place. Now, in regards to the Space Marine story, you can more or less see where it was going, but it was still exciting to see unfold through the cutscenes. This is my first Warhammer game, so I went in not really knowing much, but I was able to pick up the clues and get an idea of the Space Marine morals and values through the side characters. It was nice to see some personality in the cast, but I do hope Space Marine improves upon this. As great as it was, I really want to get some background on the characters than just what is on the surface. Additionally, I like them to create a cutscene that could possibly serve as an entryway for gamers unknown to the Warhammer universe. Alright guys, if you're guys new to the channel, my name is AlvinANGERS, and we have a series called Adventure Forward, where we take on video game quests like these. So don't forget to hit that sub button to see more videos like this, and if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments. What did you think of the Space Marine game, and what are you looking forward to in its sequel? See you on the next one. Peace.